put our register link here. So we just need to type register out, register like this. So what we need to do next is to fix some typos here. So we're going to change this here to name, also change our type to text. ID should also change to name, and this email here should as well change to name, and we can say enter username as our placeholder. So same thing for password. I'm changing this password to email, so I'll just pass email. So change this to email as well. So why I'm changing to email is because I have email here. So my ID should also be email. Then this one should also be email. So say enter email. So also change, just bring this together. So I think that's all for now. So we'll go ahead and then import our use state rather. So I'll say use state. Now we will be using use state um because React components are meant to handle form data, not the browser. So the form will be handled by the component and not the browser. If it happens to be in our normal HTML, it would have been the browser handling the form data, but in React, it's the component that handles form data. All right, so that's why we need use states. So we'll go ahead and declare that. So we can say const, we say form data, comma, set form data like this is equals to use states. So we'll close this here. Now, right inside this place, we'll pass an object. We'll pass an object now where we now provide the initial value of the state. So we only have name and email. So those are the things we provide there. We say name is going to be an empty string. So email also an empty string. So that's all for now. So we now need a function now to handle the form data. So we can say const handle, or let's say on change, const, I can say on change like this. Now equals to, I'll pass e here. Now this e means events. So it's going to give me more information about the element that is going to trigger the unchange, that is going to trigger this particular function. At first, I could just do console.log. I'll pass my e. I just want to show you the content of this e, and this will be triggered when a user tries to type inside this place. I can say on change. I'll pass handle change on change. I'll say on change. Now the name of that function on change like this. So this function here, I just have to call it inside here. So this on change is just like our click event, but now this one triggers when you try to type inside the input. Now look at what we're trying to do. Now when we try to type inside this particular input, it is going to log the content of this e for us. So now let's go back to the browser. Now let's reload the browser and then inspect this page so that you get the full gist of what I'm trying to do here. So open back my console. Now right inside here, open my console. Now right inside the name, when I try to type, you can see this thing that is being consoled, that is being logged here. Now these things were triggered because of this particular function I have here. So those things that were logged are actually the content of E. Understand? And now we'll be moving inside this E to pick some things. So I just need to destructure some things here. I'm also going to, you know, show you how I got these things I'm trying to do now. So I could say const, I'll destructure some things. I'm going to destructure name, and I'll also destructure value equals to e dot target this way. Now I could now call this my updater function, which is set form data. I could just call it here this way. Now I'm going to pass a function inside this way, an arrow function. Now an arrow function. So this is my arrow function. Now I need to pass a parameter. I could just call it previous. Now inside the function, I could now spread that particular argument, that particular parameter rather. So I'll just spread it like this and then update other fields as needed. So update them as needed like this. So you could see I'm having a whole lot of errors. Now that is because I needed to wrap this in a bracket. So wrap it up like this. So this is value and not values. So I'll change that like this. So the error is gone. Now, if you now want to know how I was able to get these things here, now let's go back to the browser. Let me give you a gist. So I'll just have to zoom in a bit. I don't know how possible that's going to be, but that's just it for now. So I'm going to type my name, Gudnex. Now you see the moment I type, I get this thing logged in the console. So when I try to open this, let me just open the last one. So you can see some things here. Now you can see that target, the target I just restructured. So when I open this, you can see the value, which is what I typed. In this case, is goodness. And then if you now want to now look for the name, so you can now scroll down and then look for name. You can see the name here. So the name and also the value, those are the two things I destructured. So I could fill in the inputs appropriately. So that's how I was able to get these guys here. So having done this, I also need to call this function on my email inputs. So I'll just come over here with my unchange attributes. I'll call back my function, which is unchanged. Now the name of the function, which is unchanged here, could be anything. It does not really have to be unchanged. The only thing that has to remain the same here is this property, is this attribute rather, because that is actually the name. It's more like our click, mouse over, and other JavaScript events. Hope that's clear. So having done that, now when I go back here and then remove these things, let me control plus, I could now type, and also I could type. So but we are not yet done. So I also need to, fill my values accordingly. So inside here or outside here, I could just say value. Now the value of this thing now is now going to be my current state, my state, which is what, form data. Now dot any of the objects, any of the properties of the object inside the initial states. Inside here, I could now paste back that thing dot what. Now dot name. So also do the same thing here. Value, I'll say form data dot email, this way. So this is how you handle forms and React with components. Now, what I need to now do is I want to do something now. When I click on this button, it should alert what the values of the input elements, because currently if I hit login, um okay, I get an error saying that this is not a right email. I could just say Marcel Goodness 144, and when I try to log in, you could see that this thing still reloads, that the browser still reloads. So we need to actually stop this particular behavior. So how do we do that? We come back here, now make a function. So we just say function, I'll say handle submit, like this. So pass back my e, and then I'm now going to stop the default behavior of the form, which is the browser that gets reloaded when I try to submit. So I'll just say e dot prevent defaults, like this. So this alone is going to stop the reload on browsers when I click the submit button. Okay, so when I do this, stop it from reloading. And also I want to alert those things. I can say alert, I can say this, let me just make something that looks like that. I'll say this is the username. Now the username, I'll say dollar with a curly braces. I can now say what? I can now say form data, that's our state dot name. I could say and this is the email. So right here, dollar this will now say form data dot email. So I could, break these things down, to look like this. So I now need to attach this function now to this my form. Right at the very top, you could now say on submit, on submit will now pass this our form, will now pass this our function, this our handle submit function. We now need to pass it here, like that. Now look at what happens. Now when I put back something like this and then with an email and then hit on login, you find out that the page does not reload, and you could see the name I just typed in, Glams Water, and then the email that was